Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Tiger's Blood. Give it up for yourselves, you guys. Come on, let's get some energy going. It's a pleasure to have you here. We're really excited. There's going to be a lot of good performers tonight. Now, I host an open mic at this club, and I do improv here, so I'm very familiar with it. And I just want to take a minute to say, don't let the club distract you. What I mean is, like, the stage, for instance, it kind of looks like somebody with white blood got stabbed to death up here. Don't get distracted by that. Also, this is, like, really nice. You're like, wow, a wooden panel. Actually, it's felt. It's, like, really weird. Don't get distracted by that. Finally, sometimes the microphone, Jeff Hughes, who we should give it up for, is doing tech tonight. Sometimes the microphone here sounds like it's from the 30s, and you'll hear it and you'll be like, well, that's all well and good, but it sounds like somebody should be singing, oh, honeydew, I love you, like, but Jeff fixed it tonight, so we're in good shape. I want to apologize for my voice, you guys. Don't worry, I'm not as nervous as I sound. I just always sound like I'm asking a girl out on a date. and that is because I have cerebral palsy. Now, some people, when I say I have cerebral palsy, freak out. And they're like, I am not going to laugh at anything. But don't worry, you guys. I brought it up at a comedy show. Like, this is your chance. And some people worry that it's going to get too dark. Like, the reason I have CP is I had a stroke when I was born because my umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck. And it's not going to be a lot of jokes like, hey, I was trying to hang myself in the uterus. Like, that's not the direction this is going in. I just want to talk to you about some of the effects that this has had on my life. One big thing is that my appendages bend involuntarily, like my knees, and that can be really intense on a flight of stairs. And really awkward on dates when she turns around and sees this. And it's like, oh, he's proposing 10 minutes into the first date. No wonder he sounds so nervous. Another thing that happens is my fingers twitch involuntarily. Also awkward on dates when I'm like getting a door. The girl is like, oh, he's such a gentleman. And he's trying to shoot somebody in the Boston Mall. I think the worst time to have twitchy fingers, though, is during handshakes. Because, yeah, if you scratch a straight man's palm, you will think that you're hitting on him and want to meet in the bathroom. And it doesn't help when I'm like, hey, I'm handicapped. Because then he's like, you want to meet me in the handicap stall. My hands just don't work that well. Like, microwaves are the bane of my existence. And they're the most embarrassing because every time you hit a number on a microwave, it goes beep. So my brother is like 13 years younger than me. And when I used to make him soup, he'd hear beep, beep, brr, beep, beep, brr, beep, shit. Beep, beep, brr, beep, brr, beep, fuck. Andre, need to microwave your own soup again, buddy. Why don't you carry it in yourself? I don't want to drop it again. I'm a dropper. Now, being a dropper, not always a big deal. Like, drop a basketball, NBD. Drop your brother's soup. Like, it's messy, but you just clean it up. If you drop a baby, that's when people start to get uptight. And people are like, Nate, have you ever actually dropped a baby? No, but let me tell you about what I have dropped. In the 5th grade, we did this exercise where we carried around a 5-pound bag of sugar, yeah, to simulate having a baby. And we took it to lunch and recess and art. And then near the end of the day, we're going to music. And we're on the stairs down over this big lobby. And I tripped. And my bag flew out of my arms and broke on a banister. And there was like this big cloud of sugar that sprinkled down over a class of kindergartners who began to cannibalize my baby. I did this joke at another show, and at this point in the set, somebody yelled out, "White people problems." And I was like, I feel like dropping babies is pretty universal. But I went and I talked to the guy after the show, and he was like, look, I get that you're retarded or whatever. But it is way harder to be black than it is to be you. And my first thought was, it's kind of weird that a white guy is saying this. But like, speaking more metaphysically, you can't compare discrimination. Like, if there was a game show where people tried to prove they were the most discriminated against, you'd have the white guy come out and be like, the potato famine. People would be like, bummer. And then the Hispanic guy would come out and be like, working in the fields for 12 cents an hour. And people would be like, that's pretty shitty. And then the black guy comes out and is like, slavery. People are like, oh shit, slavery. Like, he's got this wrapped up. And then like a secret door opens and there's fog and you just see a silhouette. And then a spotlight hits it and it's a Jewish guy. And he's like, my people can't eat bacon. And the point is that you can't compare suffering. But for the sake of argument, let's compare and contrast. The other day I was driving through DC and I was using a GPS and I got pulled over because I threw my GPS out the window. My Garmin is like a shitty tourist who wants to go through every traffic circle in DC. It's just like, Nate, let's see what's in DuPont Circle! I thought there's a statue! It's like, Garmin, there are 17 lights in DuPont Circle! I don't want to go! So I like took an early left, like trying to outsmart my Garmin, but then I started listening to it again too soon and like just ended up in the circle like even further from where I needed to be and going around farther, and that's when I was like, fuck you, and a cop saw it and pulled me over. I didn't get a ticket, probably because I'm white. Also, probably because I always sound like I'm about to cry. But I acknowledge, like, frustrations with your GPS white people problem. Contrast. There is a commercial on TV right now called The Final Text. And if you haven't seen it, what happens is there's a guy on the screen who's like, I suffered severe traumatic brain injury in a car accident. I want to give up so bad, but I can't. I was texting and driving, and now I'm retarded. And what that commercial is saying, if you didn't pick up on it, is, if you text and drive, you're gonna have brain damage. And people with brain damage want to kill themselves. As a person with brain damage, that makes me feel so bad. And what I'm saying, the difference is, there's never gonna be a commercial with a black person who's like, hey, my skin used to be white. Then I started texting while I was driving. And now I'm black. That will never happen. And that is the difference. This is the part of the night where we start playing the hits. Recently I had a girl up to my apartment and rather than fool around, we decided to have a deep emotional conversation. I like the women are like, that was a terrible plan. But here's what happened. She started telling me about how every guy she's ever been with has been bad to her and abused her and treated her poorly. And I said, you know what? I want to be the guy who treats you right and is good to you and makes it all better. And she started crying. And I was like, I meant what I said, but I didn't mean to make you cry. And she said, no, that's just the gayest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, still single. I was talking to a girl in a bar the other night, and we talked for like 15 minutes, and I was like, yeah! And then she gave me a high five. That's how I knew I'd fucked up. Because when a girl gives you a high five, what she's saying is, you can touch my hand. You're never gonna touch anything else. I'm kind of slapping you. Please get away from me. Now, if a girl gives you a hug, I think a hug is a good thing, but you can't cheat to get the hug. You tell a girl your mom just died, that hug is meaningless. If a girl gives you a hug and she can feel your boner, it's off. You've ruined it. Finally, if you tell a girl your mom just died and she can feel your boner, you're a terrible human being. Thank you all very much.